Welcome back, NoDQ Galaxy, to a brand new NoDQ review, number 236. I am Virtue, being joined by this week's elite panel of the review. Of course, Aaron Rift, Walter Cruz is back, Robbie Vice 2 weeks in a row, and Jeff Meacham is here. Gentlemen, what's going on? Let's go around the horn and get this thing going. Jeff, what's up before your audio cuts out? No, I think you're back on for good. What's up, man?
We'll see how it goes, man. It's been one of those weeks. If it wasn't the car I was riding in, slamming into a pole in a tree, it's my audio video equipment. It's been a shit-tastic 4 days. But we're here. We're good. NoDQ review, 236. Let's do it.
All right. What's up, Walt?
Nothing much. Thanks for having me. I'm ready to get into it, coming off a great PLE. And let's see what everybody's talking about.
You sounded very enthusiastic there. Come on, man. You're basically the new Big G of this. You have to, start wailing those arms and everything.
I can't be there.
All right. Robbie Vice, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on? I always mute myself for that intro to make sure I don't sound like an asshole and ruin the music there. Yeah, I am actually excited to be here. And I am now a huge supporter of PLEs in other countries because I don't know. I think when you have such an awesome crowd, you get the best out of the performers. I thought that was one of the best shows I've seen in quite a long time. So
yeah, pretty good fan reaction. We'll be talking about that here in a few minutes. So stay tuned. All right, Aaron Rift, what's going on over in the NoDQ world?
I'm doing okay, but Robbie, your audio was getting loud and quiet and loud and quiet. Just wanted to let you know about
loud
that.
and quiet and loud and quiet.
Yeah.
Is it still doing it?
At least not now, but we'll see what happens when you talk for more.
I blame Jeff. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, what a weekend. Backlash was a hell of a show. All in AEW, building up momentum again. 70,000 tickets for Wembley Stadium. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan. AEW's doing well. WWE's going well. And we got a lot to talk about. So thank you to everyone tuning in tonight. Mr. Tito sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Tito. First one of the evening says, another week full of news. Have fun, guys. Much appreciated, Tito. And now we can get right down to it, Virtue.
All right, well, the first topic, I know you cover Backlash, which you did last night, but let's talk about Backlash to see what the rest of the panel has to say, to see what the NoDQ Galaxy that's watching tonight live has to say. And look, when they're in another country like that, the crowd gets into it. That Puerto Rican crowd in San Juan, I believe, it was like a Raw after WrestleMania type feel crowd, maybe even a WrestleMania type crowd in a 17,000 person arena. And you know what? It was like a house show, but you know what? For being a house show, I'll tell you what, it was a pretty fun pay-per-view to watch. And Carlito showed up, Savio Vega showed up. I mean, those were the right calls. A lot of people speculated, hey, you might want to bring some of those talents in that aren't signed, just to get that pop. And they did it. They played it in pretty well. And Cody Rhodes went over Brock Lesnar. Of course, they protected the way the win was, so Brock didn't get devastated. But nonetheless, what's everybody's thoughts here on this PLE? I looked at it as a filler pay-per-view without Roman Reigns, but you know what? It played off pretty well. It was on Peacock. You can pay $5 to $10 a month to get stuff like this. Robbie Vice, I'm going to come over to you. Highlights, things you didn't like. I don't know. This was good for Cody. For all those Cody fans that said he needed to get a win. He beat Brock Lesnar.
A great decisive win. I know, Lesnar got busted open and people, I've seen people a little bit negative that Cody didn't go over super clean, but Lesnar's been booked and built up to be this unstoppable force. And I don't buy anyone really besides Roman Reigns being able to go in there and hang toe to toe with him. So I thought it was a clever, good way to make sure that everyone looks strong. It was the win that Cody needed. And again, like I said in the intro, man, that crowd was absolutely incredible. I think we should I would love to see a WrestleMania in Puerto Rico. I don't know if they have a arena that could do something like that, but man, that was such an awesome crowd. The Bad Bunny stuff. Bad Bunny. I'm a believer. I think he's earned everything, every accolade, all the praise he's been getting. This guy definitely has a lot of passion. And, I agreed with what you said, Aaron, in your review I think that Bad Bunny match should have headlined the show. So from top to bottom, I thought it was really, really cool. It was nice to see, the LWO guys, Savio Vega. I don't know the last time I saw him, so that was really cool to see that. Overall, it just felt like a very cohesive, well-written, and well-executed show from top to bottom with great performances. It felt like they really wanted to put on a show for that crowd, and everyone looked like they wanted to be there, and that's a really cool feeling that you don't always see in some of these non-big four WWE PLEs.
And I agree, Robbie.
Was
But
my
the
audio
Bad Bunny,
away?
it's coming up and down a little bit. We can hear you, but it's doing that up and down. The Bad Bunny
so
match
weird.
should have been last because of where they were. Like, if that PLE was in Miami, Florida, they could have got away with what they did. The fact it was in Puerto Rico and they had all those run-ins, that should have closed the show. The crowd, you know how it goes. When they get into something like that, the matches could be great afterward, but then the fans just don't quite have enough left to give. And they still did a pretty good job considering. But I want to make sure I go on record because I've said, and I already said this on Twitter, that I was a big detractor of Bad Bunny. And of course, since his first appearance, we've seen Logan Paul come into WWE and have some really great matches. And, you have to, if you're going to come into the wrestling world to live your dream as a celebrity and do something, you have to be believable. And the size of Bad Bunny, right? He's not the biggest guy in the world, but neither is Logan Paul. And they pull it off somehow. They're entertaining. They get the sports entertainment part of this. So I'm going to give props to Bad Bunny and the people that train him. He's obviously working with somebody within WWE with wrestlers that are getting him ready to do these things. But he absolutely pulled it off and made me think he was a professional wrestler when he was in that ring. And I hate to say, but he looks like people. I'm not the only one that has said this. This was all over social media. He looks like if Tony Khan had an older brother that was athletic, dude. And so I kind of chuckled because I was like, hey, Tony Khan's in the WWE ring. But then I was like, no, that's Bad Bunny. Very entertaining show. Jeff Meacham, what's your thoughts here?
The idea of Tony owning one company and wrestling for WWE is not lost because he's such a fan. It would make total sense, right? Anyway, my shot looks like shit now that some didn't. There we go, much better. Yeah, I believe that they really are starting to get behind the idea that we in the fandom are calling these shows B shows, and they're trying to show that they're anything but B shows. Chamber was awesome, and again, a hot crowd in a non-American environment up in Montreal. This show was really good. They're talking about, they're really starting to up the ante on the Saudi shows too, because we weren't covering those for a while over on the Multiverse media because it's like, okay, they're just spot shows, they're just there for the prints, whatever. The last couple shows have been really good, and this one looks like it's going to be at least affecting the overall company because they're going to crown a new world champion. We'll talk about that later, and then they're going to go to London for Money in the Bank. So they're really starting to, at least in my observation, show that these B shows are to be considered among the top tier shows, right? I honestly just don't know if the decision was proper to have Cody and Brock, main event the show. Great, great. Cody got his win. Robbie, like Robbie said, Cody got the win he needed. Brock looked strong, and he took that Cam turnbuckle ring right to the head. That was ugly. It was gross, but Bad Bunny and the reaction he got and the run-ins and everything was so. It was very much this should have been the last match because there's so much gaga going on. It should have been. And they had the big moment. Bad Bunny wins, and he's the Puerto Rican guy, the superstar, and it's all cool. And that should have been the way it ended. And I'm not mad at the way the matches results were, but the way the show laid out was a little off. Otherwise, great.
And Jeff, they did have the Bloodline win the match. Obviously, Riddle ate the pin from Solo. Solo got the job done, so he'll report back to Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman, and so that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I'm not upset, right? That was a 6-man tag match. Sammy and KO did not have to win in that match. They're already the champions. They're still the champions. So what's your thought there?
Yeah, I don't think the 6-man should have been any other way. It should have been Cody and Brock because that's been a hot match. I mean, granted that the Bloodline's the hottest story in the company, but it's starting to cool off a little bit because we don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I didn't say that match should main evented. I was just bringing that up. Oh, okay.
No, but as far as the match itself, yeah, I was heavily invested in it. I was like my team calling the match. I was like everybody at home going, whoa, when Solo lined Jay up. It was like, oh shit, here it is. It didn't happen. So, like you said, Solo pulled back to Roman, but Jey Uso definitely has a major beef because he almost took the Samoan Spike and he was still the first one to raise the acknowledgement. And Jimmy did it. Solo didn't acknowledge the tribal chief. He just kind of did his little Umaga moment there, but we didn't get a full-on united front from the Bloodline, even though they had the win. Definitely compelled to watch TV this week, without a doubt.
Actually, I had a question about that.
Yes.
Can someone explain to me how do you accidentally almost Samoan spike someone for like 15 seconds? That was just something I didn't really understand.
Yeah,
I didn't get it either.
Yeah, it seemed like they were overdoing it by at least 10 seconds. Like he lines up, he goes, oh wait, it's just Jay, you're good. But I think that was Solo and by proxy Roman going, hey, I realize it's you. Doesn't mean I wouldn't have done it.
Right.
Is he like an Incredible Hulk kind of thing where he
maybe
uncontrollable?
I was on the call last night. I likened Solo's new role. He's the arm to Roman's flair. Like he's the enforcer. Like he'll take the bullet for Roman any time, but it doesn't mean he won't dish him out, even to the other horsemen. So that's how I see it.
Walter, you know what I like about Brock Lesnar? Like, WWE has the don't bleed type thing. Like, they really don't want wrestlers going out there and blading. Now, Brock with his mitts on that he has, his UFC gloves, it looks like he does things the hard way, and he's like, you can't get in trouble that way, right? If you're going to bust yourself open to bleed and you do it a hard way, and it's Brock Lesnar, he could probably blade himself, and what are they going to really do backstage, right? That was a nice touch. I did like the blood. But again, that match maybe should have went before the main event. But Walter, what was your thoughts here? Are you going to Puerto Rico? Did you say something like that? You are?
I'm going in June for vacation, yeah.
Okay, for vacation. Nice. So what's your thoughts here from this show?
No, I thought it was awesome. Like everybody said, it was the crowd. I think you can book that same PLE and don't change anything and somewhere else and it wouldn't hit the same. It was that crowd I think the crowd just did everything for it. It looked Bianca and Io, it looked like they wanted to steal the show. Like they went backstage. It was like, let's open this and tell everybody follow that. That was a good match. I mean, there was really nothing bad. And what you were saying about the blood, Brock can do what he wanted and wouldn't get in trouble. But it was legit the hard way. I was shocked at it was like
by his eye. Yeah, you don't blame by your eye.
Yeah, and I was shocked the ref didn't put on the black gloves and nothing. Nobody reacted.
Oh, he did.
He did. Oh, he did. He put the gloves. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, he did.
And then I noticed that they cut away from Brock at the end when they threw the towel at him. They just kind of threw a towel at him and they cut away for a second while he was cleaning himself. But then they cut back too early and you still got to see him wiping it. I think like Jeff was talking about the match order. Yeah, I would have opened with the Brock, but because of the spots with Bad Bunny and everything, like you want LWO standing tall in the middle of Puerto Rico, everybody sitting there, you've got Bad Bunny on the shoulders. Like that's how you end a PLE. But they booked it right. I do like the camera angles. Like I watched Bad Bunny entrance over and over again. There was like a drone camera behind him. Like the way they did it with what really wasn't a Titantron, and it was all like the way they droned and everything. It's like they need to do more of that. And like Robbie said, I would really love to see a major PLE overseas somewhere, like a big Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. Something has to be overseas. I understand like certain countries you can't do because of the time difference. Like, but I would love to see one.
If All In does 75, 80, 90,000, WWE is going to do a SummerSlam or WrestleMania again there to get 100,000+. Like, it's coming. It's coming, man. But anyway, with the Bad Bunny, just to make it clear, like I've kind of retracted on him not belonging in wrestling. He's proven it to me, right? You got to prove it to me. Now I'll give you acceptance. I still think his music is crappy. Now, granted, it's all over the world and it's popular. It's just not for me.
Right.
So that doesn't change. That still
It's
doesn't
not for
change.
me either. I'm Puerto Rican, and it's not for me.
So, all right. Okay, Aaron, I know this is rehash for you, so do whatever, say whatever you want. Super chats. We can move on shortly. Go.
Well, I just wanted to say that I'm hopeful that they will do more international shows. We've had 3 successes now over the past year. We had Clash at the Castle, we had Elimination Chamber in Montreal, and then we had this Backlash pay-per-view, which was awesome. Love the crowd, love the atmosphere, and the matches were enjoyable from start to finish. Very strong show. Definitely recommend checking it out if you missed it. And I'm interested in what's next. I want to know what's going on with the Bloodline. I like the dissension between the Usos and Solo Sikoa. What's going to happen on SmackDown? What will Roman Reigns say about all this? It certainly seems like the Usos are going to break away from Roman Reigns at some point. And what's going to happen with Solo? Some people think maybe Solo will eventually break off on his own as well and maybe even challenge Roman Reigns for the title at some point. I like that they built for future matches and storylines with Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa and the Usos. There's that whole storyline going on. You have the storyline now with Cody Rhodes seemingly being done with Brock Lesnar, but as I said on the live stream, wasn't exactly a decisive win for Cody. And it would not shock me if Brock Lesnar turns up and does something to screw with Cody Rhodes. And we'll probably talk about that here in just a few moments, what might happen next. As I mentioned when we did the predictions, I don't think it's going to be the last Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar match by any stretch. I could see them doing multiple matches over the next several months. And the title matches, the women's title matches, they were what they were, but I thought they were about as entertaining as possible, given how predictable they were. It was still fun to watch both of those matches. And Bad Bunny, great job. Him, Logan Paul, they're earning their spots in WWE.
Aaron, none of us said this, and it just dawned my mind. We got to give props to Damian Priest.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I mean, mad props for making this happen. He was that guy having to carry, like, props to him. Just like, who was it before with Bad Bunny? Miz and Morrison. Like, you got to give props to those guys when they work with celebrities like that.
Absolutely. And Seth Rollins with Logan Paul. Logan's great, but he's also in there with top tier talent, Roman Reigns and so on. So yeah, I'm enjoying the celebrity matches. Pat McAfee too, when he's in there, he's entertaining as well. Like, WWE is really making the most out of these celebrity appearances, way more effective than what they used to be. I mentioned this on my stream with Lawrence Taylor and some of those guys, not so entertaining, but this current group of celebrity wrestlers they have, I think they've earned their spots and they deserve to be there.
You can tell they have a passion for it.
Yes.
You can see it.
Absolutely.
Robbie, based on one of your recent articles, I don't know exactly who is responsible for bringing Bad Bunny in, McAfee, Logan Paul, but I mean, isn't this the Triple H era of talent relations and creative and stuff? And all of a sudden you're seeing celebrities that can, like, really go multiple matches. You know how some people crap on the whole Triple H being in this role and whatnot. Most fans, diehard fans, love it. But, like, he's got to be responsible for that, right? He may not be finding Mania main event star full-time guys, like, give it time still, but he's getting the right celebrities that can go.
Well, I mean,
he's responsible for that. I don't know for sure. I assume.
I would argue that, I understand a lot of people don't care for his stories and some of this stuff, but I would argue that Austin Theory is a future champion, a future multiple champion. But yeah, this Bad Bunny thing is 100% a Triple H move through and through. That is typical Triple H, which is find celebrities, expand the reach of the company, and bring new eyeballs to the product, which is what he's been about. And I think this is just an example of a tremendous, thing that was part of his regime. Him and Logan Paul, I mean, both those guys went pretty hard. Vince brought in guys, like Lawrence Taylor, and Kid Rock and Donald Trump, and Triple H has brought us Bad Bunny and Logan Paul, which, say what you will about Logan Paul, I think he's much better than any of the three I mentioned before. So,
yeah. And last thing I wanted to say, I just wanted to add that everybody I thought was elevated on this show. Pretty much everyone came out looking strong. Even the people that lost. Even the people that lost felt like their stock rose on this show.
It's the fans, man. I mean, you know, I'm a firm believer that you can take an average show and put them in front of a crowd like that. You're probably going to get a better show because the wrestlers are going to do better. But man, how big of an impact do they have on each and every live show? I mean, it's just night and day. You can go to places like Corpus Christi, you know, and have the same show, and you know, it would be like you would be on the review that point saying, you know, Corpus Christi, this show sucked. It was a C-, you know.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Yeah.
And to the point of celebrities, you know, the difference that I'm noticing is the guys that they're bringing in now, they're involved in every week on television. They're not just, you know, setting up the story and then they're coming in at the end like, oh, they're there every week advancing the story, be it Logan, be it Bunny, be it whoever. LT was at the Rumble. He was at a press conference, and then he was there.
And he was awful.
What's that?
He was awful.
He was probably the worst, and that's saying a lot because there have been some really awful celebrities that come in. But
I
LT
remember as a kid
first,
thinking that was terrible.
he was there literally 3 times. It was ridiculous. You know, also, you know, you guys mentioned the crowd changing. Aaron, you were the host of a panel vote that picked the best WrestleMania match, and I still say to this day that WrestleMania match with Hogan Rock is phenomenal, but it's far more phenomenal because of the Toronto reaction.
Oh yeah, for sure. The crowd could really add to the shows. Now, before we move on, Big G sent in a $2 super chat. He said, "Stopped in during my break. Have a fun show, guys." We appreciate it, Big G. Much love to Big Baller G, who has new hours at his work, so he might not be on the No DQ review for a while, but hopefully we'll get him on sometime soon, and maybe even on one of the predictions videos when he's available. Much love to Big G. Follow him at nodq.com/Big G.
We love Jeff. He popped into the open mic night last night too, so it's good to see him.
Yep.
All right. Now I can assure, like Mr. Tito, you know, trying to cover his track, saying 2021 is maybe when they brought Bad Bunny in. He's thrown John Laurinaitis' name not out there, Triple H. I can assure you, Mr. Tito, if Triple H had nothing to do with Bad Bunny, it was not John Laurinaitis. It was Nick Khan, Vince McMahon, and those guys, not John Laurinaitis. John Laurinaitis for the actual wrestler type guys, I won't argue with when he was head of talent relations, but the entertainer, musician type people, and so those type of celebrities, I don't think that's John Laurinaitis.
You have to keep in mind that Vince and probably John Laurinaitis had no clue who Bad Bunny was. Like, they're not going to know who Bad Bunny is.
Yeah. But
I didn't know who Bad Bunny was.
No,
many years ago.
The office knows. Like, we're just all speculating. You know,
I would say I didn't hear about Bad Bunny until years ago. I worked in Steelyard up in Cleveland for a while, and that's a very, you know, heavy Hispanic population, and everyone I worked with was Puerto Rican, and they fucking, oh my God, they love Bad Bunny, man. They would play that pretty constantly.
Mr. Tito, you do not work for WWE. You have no clue who signed Bad Bunny. You have you have just as much clue as I do. Okay, me saying that it was under the Triple H realm. Okay, if it's not, it doesn't mean it was John Laurinaitis because he was head of talent relations, because you think you know everything WWE. You can't assume that. Again, I told you if we were talking about wrestlers and that was who was in charge of talent relations, and I'm not going to say, but it's the Nick Khan. I think Nick Khan is the guy. Jeff Meacham, correct me if I'm wrong here. Was Nick Khan like the guy saying, hey, we're kind of looking for non-traditional wrestlers, more media people to bring into the company? And there's so many stories out there and interviews, but I want to say I heard a Nick Khan interview where he specifically said that, like, hey, we're looking for non-typical wrestlers to bring in, like world stars type deal. And,
you are absolutely right. And I will.
Nick Khan's an evil man, but he's a smart businessman as well.
Yeah, I will tell you, Laurinaitis had no idea who Bad Bunny was. The only way he's tuned into people outside of WWE was because of his daughters-in-law. Otherwise, he would have or stepdaughters, whatever the hell you want to call them. He had no idea who the hell Bad Bunny was until he showed up on WWE television.
Who's to say Bad Bunny didn't reach out to them when he created that Booker T song? Yeah. Maybe Booker T trained him. Nobody knows.
That's kind of how he got in there.
And like, look, he doesn't listen. I'm not saying Triple H was the guy that brought Bad Bunny, and I'm saying it wasn't John Laurinaitis. It was probably Nick Khan, Vince McMahon, and those people that know that kind of stuff. Now, here's the next. Aaron, do we have any super chats to catch up on before we move topics?
Yeah,
we do. Okay, I must have missed.
We do have one here from the Tantalizing Tony Wrestling Show. I like that username. Sent in $10. Thank you for that. Yes, quite the name. Says, been watching you guys a lot. Love the content. I am a content creator as well, and you guys know your stuff. Much appreciated. Thank you for tuning in. And who knows, maybe if you're a content creator, we can get you on the NoDQ review one of these days as one of the panelists. We're always looking to bring in some new people. We had the This Guy experience on last week. So we'll see. Thank you for tuning in and hope to see you for more live streams coming up in the future. Anyways, we're caught up now.
So this next.
Oh, wait.
Yes, Rob.
Real quick. So,
okay, Robbie, and then I got one more.
I couldn't find exactly who brought in Bad Bunny to WWE, but it was Triple H who got him as an in-ring performer. So
there you go.
Okay.
So
just to get it as straight as I can. I don't know. I don't know who got him in there. But just so you know, that's
all right. Psycho Jet Black sent in $2, and I'm with him on this one. I'd rather see more Bad Bunny matches than Bray Wyatt. What do you think, Virtue?
I like to see Bad Bunny versus Bray Wyatt and make Bray Wyatt have to wrestle a regular match.
Thank you.
There you go. I'd be down for that.
So let's get the best of both worlds. Let's please everybody. That's what WWE is supposed to do.
That's right.
Last time Bray Wyatt had a normal match.
They haven't even mentioned that Wyatt was a free agent.
2015, 2016, Robbie, maybe.
You know what? It would be funny if we had that feud because we could have the Rambling Rabbit and Bad Bunny in a segment. There you go.
Now, this next segment, right? This is the topic here. I'm trying not to. It's going to be interesting if we can get through this. Now, there's going to probably be people in the chat, specifically some people in the chat that are going to want to bring up negative stuff. But let's talk about positive stuff. We have WWE and we have AEW, the two biggest wrestling promotions in the world. And I just want to go around the horn and what does each of us like best about each company? Okay. And nothing negative. Like, you can say what you like in a kind of a sarcastic way, but let it make sense. Let it be a legit reason why you like that company. So, Walt, I want to start with you here. You got to pick one solid main core reason why you like WWE and one for AEW. And I hope you guys thought about this a little bit because I know I only gave the topics this morning, but Walt, what do you think?
I honestly think the best thing about it is that there actually is competition. I think competition brings the best out of each other. And then as a wrestling fan, you're entertained, whether you like WWE or AEW. Like back in the day in the 90s, people used to channel surf back and forth between WCW and WWE because there was competition. And that's what blew everything up. And it caused the Attitude Era. So as long as there's competition, that's the best thing that there is. I'm not the biggest AEW person, but at least they're trying. And that's all I can ask for them is to try. And if there's competition, that's awesome. It brings the best out of WWE because they got to try. And then, of course, WWE, the best thing going is the Bloodline story. Like, I don't know what's going to happen when they complete that or finish that, but I think that's the best thing WWE has going right now. That's all I can really say. But competition is the best thing out there.
So, Robbie, when I think, like, for me, what I like about AEW is like just the fact that even though through all the crap that's happened with CM Punk, Tony Khan knew better, even with EVPs who they are. He didn't just fire them. Like, and we don't know. The contract could be so ironclad, he had no choice. But the fact that even though he was out hurt, CM Punk is still part of AEW, and we know he's most likely coming back soon. And the fact that Tony Khan did not balk at that when all that went down, I got to give mad props because I'm telling you what, just to have that aura of Punk around. I know some people get sick of this and they don't, he's going to come back and be toxic, but I'm telling you what, he still has an aura about him that makes people talk. So Tony Khan, I'll give him credit there for all the other things he does wrong. He kept CM Punk. I won't say my WWE thing yet because I'm still kind of deliberating a couple ideas, but what do you think here? What's your favorite thing about each of those promotions?
Yeah, so I would say that, my favorite thing going on in WWE is the Cody Rhodes story, because that's the one I'm most invested in. The Bloodline and the Roman stuff I think is fantastic, but I've seen it for a while. You know what I mean? I think we've seen the peak of what that story is and what it will be. But Cody winning, it almost goes back to a story from Dusty, which I think is awesome. And I'm most excited to see that. When I watch AEW, I think the most exciting thing they have and the best thing they have going for it is their 4 pillars. I'm very much looking forward to the match where all 4 of them are involved. MJF, Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, and who's the other one? Huh?
Silent.
Who's the last 4? MJF,
Darby Allin, Jungle Boy, and Sammy Guevara.
That's right, Sammy Guevara.
I couldn't remember which one you didn't say. That's why I was pausing.
I lost,
hoping you would say them again. Yeah.
In my own train of thought, I also did the exact same thing.
Okay. All right.
So we got. The MJF and Sammy stuff I think is gold. I think their heel work is phenomenal. I think Darby, even though I think his finishing move is one of the worst I've ever seen. The trust fall, I just think he needs something better. But he definitely has passion for it. I don't think he's going to be walking when he's 50. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's going to be like a dynamite kid. I think he's going to break down because you just can't do it. I mean, look at Will Ospreay. Like, these guys you can't do that for that long of a time. But man, while we have him, he's a daredevil. He's willing to do everything. And I think Jungle Boy has been one of the biggest growths in AEW. And I think watching him get more comfortable on the microphone, he's really not quite there yet. I wouldn't say he's like bad, like Ricochet. But I think he's in that Dom kind of sphere right now where he's still kind of figuring things out and he's kind of coming into his character a little bit. But yeah, man, I think they're all just great. And MJF, I wrote that article about MJF. I think he's by far one of the best in the world at what he does. And I don't just think he's a great heel because I think that undersells everything that he does. I think he is the total package of what the ultimate wrestler is. For a long time, I thought it was Randy Orton. I thought Randy Orton was the blueprint for just like one of the best things that you could be. He had the look, he has the size. Up until recently, he had the endurance to do, without massive injuries throughout most of his career. But MJF's going to be someone like The Miz. I don't think his style is dangerous. I think he's going to last a long time. And I think he will have a longevity that will rival Ric Flair in this industry just because of the way he can speak. That doesn't go away as you get older. So those are the things I think are great.
It's a good time to be you. You got Triple H pretty much in charge of creative and talent in WWE. And you got MJF as the world champion in AEW, and you like both.
Yeah,
how about that?
Those are my 2 favorite guys in each company, and they're both doing good things. So
okay, thank you, Robbie. Jeff, for me, for WWE, like Roman by default, I'm going to do a 1A and a 1B thing, right? Roman, Bloodline. I want him to put somebody over, right? If you're a long champion, you got to put somebody over. So I'm still anticipating that. But like just the fact that even though there's so many of these hard relationships, these toxic relationships that WWE has like with talent sometimes, they still ultimately, and the history proves itself, eventually they bring people back. Like Carlito, he had some heat. Whoever, like, I don't know what the heat was. It was a Triple H, but they knew they needed to bring him back for that spot at Backlash, and they did. And I appreciate WWE when business is needed. They know what to do, and they let bygones be bygones. That's probably my one most thing I enjoy about WWE. Like, they do it.
He is more about his father, by the way.
Yeah. Jeff Meacham, what do you think here?
Yeah, I was going to mention a couple things with WWE. One, I love the Bloodline storyline, and I also love the Cody thing with it, because those stories have to mesh and come together at the end. Cody's story has to finish with the WWE Championship. However they brand it, define it, whatever. That's where Cody's story ends, WWE Championship. And your headline tag today definitely is spot on. If he gets anything but that, the story doesn't finish right. The other thing you mentioned that I do really like, as far even today's WWE, but I'll also give Vince a little credit too. They were always willing to do business. Like if it came down to they had a bad falling out and it came down to the money's on the table, just collect it and go with it. WWE always does that. The only person I haven't seen do that with yet is CM Punk, and that's not for lack of WWE wanting to, I don't think. That's just been Punk being Punk.
Yep.
AEW, again, Max is just one of the best things I've seen in wrestling in my 30 years plus of being a fan. He's entertaining to watch. It has gotten a little rough as far as it's kind of the same stuff every week, but he still finds ways to keep things shaken up and not mention the exact same thing every time. But Robbie made a great point. Saying he's the best heel in the company, it's like, no, he's the best overall in the company. The guy can talk. The guy can wrestle. The guy will draw the passion out of people, good, bad, or however you want to classify it. But he makes people want to tune on to TNT and TBS and watch these shows and throw down this freaking $50 nonsense for a pay-per-view because they want to see Max compete. They want to see Max on television. They want to see Max on pay-per-view. So Max is definitely my favorite in AEW, but the pillars are all finally starting to come into their own without having to lean so heavily on Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley, all the guys that were, they brought WWE guys in. It's like, yeah, but these WWE guys were disenchanted with WWE by the time they came in. So they were leaning on AEW to get a fresh start. And now the four pillars, at least, they're in that slot where they don't have to lean on the old WWE guys. By the same token, on the female side of things, however you feel about the Britt Baker thing right now, she's carrying that along with Jamie against the castaways from WWE, and it's working on all fronts. So that's, I guess what I'm trying to say is AEW still has the brand talent, but they're not leaning quite so hard on them. And I do really love that as a fan. That's awesome. And WWE's willingness to do business has been one of my favorite things for a while, which is why we never stopped covering them on NoDQ, because Lord knows we could have a few times over the last 20-some years. Like,
isn't it good to only mention positive things, like trying to? So, Aaron, over to you now. AEW at Wembley Stadium, going over into that market, with or without CM Punk, they're going to have a buzz. They were going to sell tickets. Just that aura that Punk brings, though, like Tony Khan's got to feel good to have that in his pocket. And I hope he can make something work out with Punk for that show. I'm thinking that's what's going to happen. But what do you have to say about this topic?
Well, first of all, Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, here's something positive. No Ryback on television.
Hear, hear.
I miss Ryback. Am I the only one that misses him?
Ryback never,
Probably.
like, I never got mad about anything. Like, he could be a total douchebag off, like, camera, and it still doesn't matter to me. He wasn't, like, horrible. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was entertained by him for a period of time.
I'm just indifferent with him. I just don't care either way.
Yeah. It's one of those, like, I'm glad he's gone, but I wouldn't be like viscerally angry if he came back. I just think he got too full of his own britches and he doesn't have a reason to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's a valid point. And Psycho Jet Black also sent in a $5 super chat. It says, seriously, the one positive thing is that AEW seems to be learning from the mistakes of TNA, Ring of Honor, and WCW on what not to do to grow their business.
Disagree.
Yeah, we're going to have some negativity here, Robbie?
I disagree with that.
Well,
too.
that super chat brought that up, though, so we can blame the super chat guy.
Well, I mean, the problem is, though, they're not doing the things that TNA, WCW, Ring of Honor did, but they're doing other stupid shit to not let their company grow. So, like, and Tony's, out there still, making these ridiculous mistakes. Like, they had a tremendous on sale, and the first tweet you hear from Tony is toward that idiot journalist from ESPN. And not even a constructive, okay, why do you feel this way? Where's your proof? It's just, no, you're a D-bag, and, blame Nick Khan. It's like, what did Nick Khan have to do with any of that?
Yeah,
Nothing.
That was odd. But, Tony should handle himself a little bit better when responding to people.
Not the mistakes that the other companies made in the past. Tony's biggest mistake is he doesn't have a Twitter proofreader.
Yeah.
And his roster's a bit big.
Yeah. So, I mean, but we're not talking about the negative. So
No.
let's drop the negative.
That was
Let's
a super
talk
chat's
about
fault,
the positives.
though, right there.
Right. Right. The positives. AEW is doing well. WWE is doing well. And I think it comes down to WWE knowing what their audience wants, WWE giving fans some compelling storylines with interesting characters. Example, the Bloodline, everything with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and actually putting some thought into these storylines and not just throwing stuff out there, hoping something sticks. They actually spent several months with these twists and turns in the storyline, and it's paid off. I feel like that storyline has really helped WWE's current boom. The fact that they invested in a long-term storyline, I think it's paying off big time for them now. You're seeing the numbers, how well WWE is doing. They did great for WrestleMania. The show in Puerto Rico for Backlash sold out. They got big shows coming up. Detroit for SummerSlam selling very well. Around 40,000 tickets already sold for that event at Ford Field. WWE business has been hot, and I think it's because they've really been able to deliver with the storytelling, and you actually have a reason to care about the characters, and you want to tune in week after week to see what's happening next. And the wrestling, they've given the wrestlers more time to go out there and have longer matches. Is it perfect? No. We've definitely called out some of the issues, but we're not going to talk about it because it's all about the positivity.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on in WWE. I feel for the most part, they are delivering a product that their audience wants to see. And they're also doing well as far as expanding their audience, as we mentioned earlier, with Bad Bunny. Now, for AEW, they too are also doing what they need to do to satisfy their paying customers. Perfect example is Wembley Stadium. 70,000 tickets already sold, way more than I was expecting. I was predicting 40 to 50,000 would be their total attendance for Wembley Stadium. They far surpassed that. So to Tony Khan's credit, he took a chance and it paid off. And that's what you have to do. You have to take chances. You have to take gambles. Look at Vince McMahon with the first WrestleMania. He had to take a chance and try to do something massive, and it paid off for him. Tony Khan took that chance, and it looks like it's paying off. Now, will he continue to try different things? Will he continue to take the risks? That remains to be seen. But for now, I think they're doing a very solid job at pleasing their already existing audience. Are there things they could do to further grow their business? Absolutely. It's all a work in progress. They're 4 years old. And for the most part, I feel they have learned from the mistakes of WCW. But obviously, with some of the recent backstage turmoil, it's not perfect. Like Tony Khan, we've said this before, has to really take control and be the boss. And that's something he's got to work on. But you know what? That's some constructive feedback, not necessarily being negative, just saying there are lessons to be learned and things that can be done to improve your business and grow it even larger than what it is right now. And they're doing very well. United States attendance is not great, but they can work on that. And they're still drawing passionate fans to the shows. And we'll see what happens with All In. I'm definitely looking forward to the rest of 2023 with AEW and WWE for that matter. I mean, sometimes around this time of the year, like I have no interest in what's going on with WWE. I'm just like, whatever, man. But right now I'm invested. I'm looking forward to what's coming up next.
All right, Aaron, are we ready for the main event? Are we all caught up?
Yeah, we're caught up.
Okay. This is a little segment I'm going to add only for one person here. It's my new thing that I'm going to do only when he's on the show. It's called Ask Robbie on the Spot. So, Robbie, I have a question for you.
All right.
Yeah, you'll be able to knock this out of the park. So, in the past, when you've been on the review, you're not necessarily you weren't a big fan of Dominic Mysterio.
Correct.
He's getting a lot of heat with this group. So, has anything changed? I could have went the Matt Riddle route, but we're not talking about Matt Riddle. Dominic Mysterio, Robbie, thoughts, real brief, just you. And then we're going to move on to the main event.
Yeah, I think it's changed a little bit. I think Dominic Mysterio has won me over to a degree. I think he has really come into his own. I mean, I didn't like him as a face with his dad. I thought it was really boring and predictable. I thought they covered up a lot. I still don't think he's like the best on the microphone or best in the ring, but like and again, so someone who says that I prioritize characters over just about everything else when it comes to wrestling. And Dominic is an awesome character right now. I mean, I think everything he's doing with Rhea Ripley is great. The Dom thing, his match at WrestleMania was very good, and just like everything about him, I think has leveled up a bit. I really feel like he's learning and coming into his own, and that's definitely something that I don't necessarily want to say that I was wrong about Dominic Mysterio. Because it was nepotism that got him to where he was, and he maybe didn't deserve the early TV time, but I'm not going to deny the progress that he made as a performer and a character, and I'm going to have to give him his due. So that's my Robbie on the spot.
And again, I don't know why I put Robbie on the spot, but we'll see how that goes in the future. I could keep asking you these ones, but we don't do our 1-on-1 show anymore, so that's probably why
I know. Yeah.
I missed that. All right, everybody, we're all involved on this one. The main event, we're going to talk about the World Heavyweight Championship tournament coming up. Obviously, I made this topic earlier before we knew we were going to have the actual contestants in this. It's very strange that half of the pool is SmackDown talent. So, I mean, what are we to believe if a SmackDown person wins it by default Raw nabs? I'm like, that's strange to me. So, who does everybody think's going to win this thing? I mean, we all know, we've all seen the list on NoDQ.com. Walter, I'm going to start with you here. Whose is this to win? It's going to happen in Saudi Arabia, of all places.
I think that's the win. Yeah, the whole SmackDown thing makes no sense to me. I guess by default they're gonna get drafted. It makes no, because if that was the case, I would love to have seen AJ Styles win it. And then I'm like, yeah, but if he wins it, does the whole group now have to switch to Raw? It don't. So by default, somebody from Raw has to win it. I say that it's gonna be Seth Rollins, but I stick to what I originally said. This should have been Night of Champions. Should have just focused on this title. The entire Night of Champions should have been a one-night tournament. And each round you get eliminated, and then the main event is for the title, and then you do that. That's what I think. So it's kind of, you took away King of the Ring, you made Night of Champion, but you still could have snuck in the King of the Ring as
I was going to say that
as Night of Champion.
So you're the first one to say, you're the first one to pick somebody. I'm coming right at you.
Yeah.
How does Cody Rhodes lose his match in this tournament? Why? How can you put Cody in a tournament he's not going to win and have him lose and have him still be credible enough for Roman Reigns? You think he's going to lose clean? Is it going to be a dirty match? Who's it going to be against? Because that's when you say Rollins, I can't argue that. Like Rollins, okay, I get it. How does Cody not win it though? What happens to him to not win it?
Rollins and Cody's are the Raw final, and Brock Lesnar comes out and costs him it.
Okay, so I mean, you can't go wrong there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, but Jeff. Here's my thing. Is we can deep dive into this all we want. Could one of those SmackDown wrestlers win it? If the plan is Cody's going to beat Roman and take that title over to Raw, I know that we're looking at that's probably SummerSlam at the earliest. So it gets or if he wins Money in the Bank and cashes it in somewhere beforehand. But man, there are some possibilities there, Jeff.
Yeah, there are. I am sticking with the JJ Williams presented theory that now everybody seems to have picked up on across the internet wrestling peripheral media, whatever you want to call it, that Cody's going to win the contract at Money in the Bank, call a shot on Raw on the 3rd, and cash in at the Garden on the 7th. That way it's at the Garden like Dusty's was, and that's how it's going to be. As far as this tournament goes, we went off on this the other night. I wasn't part of it because I had to take an emergency call, but it was an interesting discussion from what I was told. I haven't gone back and watched the show yet, but I really wanted to be a part of it because this whole thing looks so stupid. And so I'm glad we're off the positivity topic because this tournament is booked like horse crap. It's so bad. Oh, we'll have 2 triple threats and then we'll have a final. I was like, no, it's not a tournament. WWE has great tournaments in their past. Even though world title tournaments on pay-per-view, there's still been, granted, it's 14 guys because somebody has to have a bye because, can't just have a straight 16-shot show. But they made more sense. Walter made a great point. Night of Champions. Okay, you have 14, or in this case, 12 championship contenders. And you have the winner be crowned in the same night. I have said this, Aaron. I'm going to say it until you make a t-shirt. and I'm going to be blue in the face about it. It's not hard to book. It's just hard to finance. Like, my God. And no Drew, because they can't get his money straight on his contract early. And that's the only reason he's not in the tournament, because he's drafted, but they can't get his money situation squared away, at least if you believe the rumor and bullshit. As far as the tournament winner, I think it almost has to be Seth Rollins, because it just feels like everybody else on there, with the exception of Cody, is much better as a contender right now. Seth is, for my money, a long, non-crowned world champion in WWE. He's been that guy who has been the top of the card. He's been making every show he's on better. So Brock costing Cody in the Raw final is exactly how I was going to book that. That just writes itself, because then you get Brock and Cody in Saudi Arabia, which the Crown Prince will love having Brock Lesnar over there. Are you kidding me? And that's how you keep building it. Cody seems to be the person of trilogies. Okay, so we got Cody and Brock last night. We get Cody and Brock at Night of Champions. And then when Cody becomes the WWE champion, Brock Lesnar, Mr. Free Agent, goes, hey, guess what? You got me at SummerSlam, buddy.
Well, there you have it. Robbie, why do I just feel like I was kind of shocked Brock's not in this? I was petitioning for him to be that first champion. Obviously, now he's not in that mix. I can't get myself, even though we know Cody wants to go for the titles that Roman has, I can't get my sights off Cody. Like how my gut says always pick Roman, always pick Brock. With this pool of wrestlers in this tournament, my gut can't get me off Cody Rhodes. I don't know. What do you think?
So I understand that he's part of a faction, but I think AJ Styles would make more sense as the first champion. I think he is someone that is because they talked about like being a working champion and a fighting champion. And if you look at the different rosters, I think there's some young guys that are on the Raw brand that could benefit from, having time with AJ Styles and having those matches with him. So I think it would make the most sense for AJ to be the one. And they said from the very beginning that anyone who's a champion is like if you hold a belt, then you are automatically drafted to that. They also said that some cards subject to change basically for the draft. So I don't think it would be hard for them just to justify, well, AJ's a champion. Of course his guys are coming with him. He's a champ. That's a champion's benefit. This is just one of those, transfers that we told you guys about in the beginning. These are the rules, and that's how it happens. I just think it makes the most sense. I think Seth Rollins, I don't think either AJ or Seth need the title, but I personally feel that AJ would be a better first champion for that, especially in Saudi Arabia. Those guys like the quote unquote legendary wrestlers. And we're kind of entering the time period now where AJ Styles is kind of like he's a legend, but he's still at the tail end of that prime. So I think he would be very popular overseas. Not saying Rollins wouldn't be, but for me, I think the best thing that's going to happen is going to be for AJ to be that champion. And just like you said, I know someone said it, but yeah, Hell in a Cell's advertising, I think Lesnar versus Cody in a steel cage or something to that effect. So I definitely think you'll have something where Lesnar comes out to cost. Cody's going to look like he's about to win. Lesnar's going to come out, and then it's going to be personal. And you know what I mean? They're going to have all this build up and bad blood, and it actually makes sense to be in a cage instead of it just being in a pay-per-view named like Cage Match or Hell in a Cell or something. So yeah, that's what I think would be the best, and that's what I would like to see the most.
Okay. Hey, Aaron, Roman kept the title at WrestleMania, and I've already said, yeah, he'll lose it at SummerSlam, and I would never bet against that now, right? I'm not going to make another bet with Josh Mansfield.
Right.
Part of me deep down inside feels Roman may not lose for a very long time. Yeah. I don't know what that percentage is, and if that is a potential case, Cody could win this tournament, be that champion, the world heavyweight champion, lose it, and still earn another shot for Roman Reigns for, say, WrestleMania next year. My mind is with no Lesnar in this tournament, right? And Rollins is my, second choice. Cody, my brain keeps clicking Cody. What do you think here? I know nobody's saying Brock's going to cost him. He's got to go for Roman's title. The Jeff Meacham scenario, Money in the Bank, Madison Square Garden. It's something about it, man. I'm going Cody so far. What do you think?
Well, there could be some possible curveballs in all this. Now, let me read off the actual participants. So apparently it's going to be Raw versus SmackDown in the final match at Night of Champions to crown this new champion. So a SmackDown guy will be competing for this Raw championship at Night of Champions based off of what has been revealed on television. They're going to be doing these triple threat matches and a little tournament here. And then there's going to be the final match at the pay-per-view or premium live event. So for Raw, we have Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura, Damian Priest, The Miz. I mean, come on now. And Cody Rhodes. I guess he's a former world champion, Miz, but whatever. SmackDown, we have Austin Theory, AJ Styles, Bobby Lashley, Rey Mysterio, Edge, which is interesting, and Sheamus. No Roman Reigns. So when they first announced that SmackDown was going to be part of this, I thought that maybe this would be a way for Roman Reigns to get in the tournament and go for it, but they're not doing it. And I'm not a big fan of SmackDown being part of this tournament unless there was a good reason for it, like Roman Reigns entering. Now, maybe he will. Like I said, we could potentially get some curveballs in this. And Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, here's an idea. Seth Rollins, Finn Balor rematch. The thing is, though, Balor is on Raw and Rollins is on Raw. Now they could be involved in one of the matches on Raw to see who advances, but I definitely don't think that's going to be something that will be in the final match or anything like that based off of what they've said on television. And TJS said Sheamus versus Miz, AJ versus Seth, Brock costs Cody. Well, there's another comment. I mean, I have no desire to see Miz in this tournament whatsoever because he's not making it past whatever the first round is. Just not happening. And Michael sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, Brock takes Cody out, enters himself in the tournament. Here's another potential curveball. And thank you guys for the super chats. What if that happens? If, it's like a Edge Kofi Kingston from Elimination Chamber scenario, and Brock Lesnar injures Cody and takes his spot, so Cody doesn't even have to do a job. Cody is just eliminated from the tournament. Maybe Brock wins the title, like I said. Brock Lesnar being the first champion, nobody's calling it a secondary championship, and then Cody has to come back and fight him. Robbie?
Nia Jax set the precedent for that. You can just throw someone down and then take their spot because that's how Nia Jax got in the Royal Rumble.
There you go.
Yeah, I actually don't like. Usually, I'd be like, "Oh God, what a cop out!" But that actually makes a lot of.
See, like Aaron, here's the thing: WWE sometimes does these things. They know that the fans are going to analyze this, the smart fans, and there's no way Cody can win it because he won't be able to go for his story still, and that's why I'm starting to feel like it's going to happen. I don't know, man. If
You might be right.
Something about it just when I knew Brock wasn't in it, that would be great, by the way, what you just said. If Brock finds a way in the tournament somehow, but
you know what? I like the idea. I like the idea of Brock winning, and then maybe you do Cody versus Brock, and Brock beats him, and Cody enters Money in the Bank and wins it. I mean, I'd like to see that.
If Brock does the scenario you're saying, and he costs Cody his spot, wins the world title at Night of Champions, which, like I said, however Brock goes over there, the government, the King of Saudi Arabia definitely wants to see Brock Lesnar. He's an attraction. So then you have Brock defend at, whatever show is between Night of Champions and Money in the Bank, or, even at Money in the Bank, he defends against Cody. Cody, gets, some sort of, screwed out of a win, enters himself in the contract match, the briefcase match, ladder match, and then he wins that anyway.
And we've seen that happen before too, where guys just enter themselves in the Money in the Bank ladder match. So
Brock did it. Brock did it.
You just have to be willing to sit on top of a ladder to end a Monday Night Raw. That's your only qualification for getting in a match.
Am I the only one shocked that nobody from the Bloodline's in this? You would think one of them would try to run all the titles, so Solo or Jay
Solo,
or somebody would be in it.
I'm not a big fan of this tournament for the most part. I like Edge being in it, but Miz being in it is a total bust. And
the bottom, though, it's generating discussion amongst the five of us. So
Well, we would be discussing it regardless. They could throw in like every jabroni in the company, and we'd still be talking about it and
But when
analyzing it.
we're throwing out scenarios for possible outcomes, which we could just be going, I think this guy's gonna win. What do you think? We just be doing very generic crap, but we're not. So.
And then nobody would be watching us if we said that.
For all we know, we're getting all hyped up. We're making all these scenarios, and freaking Miz walks away with it.
You want to bet on that? Should we do
No.
Should we do $100 bet on the Miz? Because I can
Nope.
tell you the Miz ain't winning.
No.
Does this say anything about Bray Wyatt? The fact that he's not in this tournament and is nowhere to be found since his big return.
Well,
They haven't even mentioned if he was drafted or not. Like that he's a free agent. They're saying everyone else is a free agent. That person's a free agent. They even said Shelton Benjamin is a free agent. They haven't mentioned Wyatt at all.
Well, but the problem is, though, they made this big stink about Lesnar negotiated as a free agent. So did Omos, and then Baron Corbin's free agent. That's okay. Wait a minute.
All we know about Wyatt is he's got some physical ailment or he's sick.
Oh, right.
And then another rumor, he's got another writer for his material coming into WWE. I don't know what to believe there. We'll find out eventually. Aaron will keep us posted.
But all these comments now, I want Miz to win just to piss in everybody's Kool-Aid. I really do.
Hey, remember, Miz weaseled his way.
That Cardona winning at WrestleMania and that ladder
Miz
match.
weaseled his way back to the WWE title via Money in the Bank and Otis at one point.
Right.
We never thought that would ever happen again either.
People shit
I
on
actually like Miz, and I feel like he deserves to be treated better. It's just the way he booked, but
that's true.
Like Miz, the character and the human is a good person.
He's entertaining, but the booking sucks. He's like a chicken shit heel that always loses.
It's the same thing with Corbin. If Corbin is one of the most intriguing people I've met outside of the WWE TV bubble, but man, when he's on TV, he's booked like hot garbage. He's funnier than hell. So
he needs to be face or something.
But I don't know if they'll the overall fandom will get behind a babyface Baron Corbin. I would, but
I would. But anyways, regarding the tournament, Cody could end up winning it. Would not shock me. Seth Rollins seems like the only other logical choice as far as I'm concerned. And Miz, I'd be willing to place a bet. Somebody could pay me $100 if Miz doesn't win, and if Miz does win, I'll pay them $300.
I don't want
to take up on that bet.
Can't but
no.
Why not?
Nobody's going to do that, Aaron.
Oh well,
that's 3-1 odds though. Somebody
$300. I could.
Start with, and I ain't got the kind of money to throw away like that. Otherwise.
I guess it would have to be something like $1,000 for you to feel justified, but I ain't going that far. I'm not that crazy. Considering Zack Ryder won that ladder match, I'm not going too crazy with my wagers.
I wonder how I feel about the exact same thing for the exact same reason, Aaron. Come on now.
Robbie, how do you feel? He's sitting over there quiet.
I don't really have an opinion, but I don't know.
Okay, so if I was to,
I'm not. It's not worth $100 because the Miz is not going to win. I mean, that's like saying, "Hey, dude, I bet you $100 the sun won't come up tomorrow."
So,
but
Robbie, if we did a bet and you were to pay me $100 if Miz did not win, if Miz did win, how much would I have to pay you for that bet to be justified?
Yes.
If the Miz loses, I have to pay you $100. You would have to give me $5,000. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just
even then, you're almost guaranteed to still not win. So
yeah, and this is coming from someone who I think I spent like $700 on Steam games that I've never launched in the past 2 years. So yeah, it's just that to me is more valuable than the Miz.
That's the best comment of the show so far, right?
Okay. So yeah, I think Rollins is probably going to win, although Cody I think is also. They could just go with that. If that's him finishing the story, I'm just going on record saying I'm going to be very disappointed if that's.
What if part of the story, Aaron, is him winning this new title, having it for a little bit, losing it by maybe down the road Brock costs him or whatever, and then he still beats Roman. He's still the one to beat Roman.
If he wins that title, he's capped at being Drew McIntyre and never anything more. I think that his ceiling is Drew McIntyre if he wins that title.
What if he wins that title and doesn't lose, though?
It doesn't matter.
What if we got a champion versus champion at WrestleMania?
I got one. What if he wins that title and Roman's titles and has 3 titles?
Look, this first win by Cody has to be big because they have played up the Dusty angle so much that it's not so much just is Cody going to win a championship, is Dusty's boy going to win the big one from Roman Reigns, because that's the story. So anything other than him beating Roman Reigns for that title, I think is a monumental disappointment.
Yep.
When is that Madison Square Garden show? When is that?
July 7th.
July 7th.
Why. See, I'm already petitioning here for Cody to win this because nobody wants it to happen because it'll ruin the story. And it's such the WWE way to fight, to see the fans talking about that and say, you know what? We are going to put that title on Cody. I just know how they operate.
It'll be a bigger disappointment than Nick Patrick's 3 count on Sting when Hogan beat him at Starrcade.
I'll be having the time of my life, though, Cody. See, I always set myself up for something. If it happens, I feel great about it.
Well,
so
Virtue.
Maybe that's what it's all about. Maybe I'm completely in left field here.
Yeah. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says if Cody wins, he'll be a consolation champion.
We get the wrestling fans to do a consolation.
Exactly.
So him winning that, but yet he still would go on, say he did still go on to beat Reigns just because he won that title, it's over.
Because he won.
I don't know why fans think this is all fake. These aren't real titles. I don't know.
Okay, how did the first ever Universal Champion? How is Finn Balor? How did that help Finn Balor with a brand new unknown belt?
He got injured. Hurt. Oh, he did get hurt. So it's kind of like it's.
I get it though. When he came back, did they do anything with him?
No. How to go for Kevin Owens being the first working Universal Champion?
Pretty good until he lost to Goldberg.
Okay.
I'm surprised nobody's saying Finn to redeem that whole thing that happened to his injury.
We can all agree.
Finn Balor's lost.
We can all agree it should be a pool of all Raw stars, no SmackDown stars. That is pretty crappy. That is stupid.
No.
Sure, we could have Seth versus AJ, Edge versus AJ, Cody versus. We can get a good match out of it, but everybody's going to be like, "What the hell?"
Look.
Yeah. Why is a SmackDown? Yeah.
You can't tie up that many good people. If they took all the actual world caliber champion challengers from just Raw, the rest of their storylines would suffer because they wouldn't really have anyone of note on those shows to do anything. So like, I agree the concept is clunky, but if they would have done it the other way, it wouldn't have made sense because if people were in programs and all of a sudden they're in this tournament, they're either like one of those things has to end. Yeah. So I just think
that's why you do it all in one
especially
night.
A 3-hour show.
They could have took the top. I mean, it didn't have to be this big tournament. They could have took the top 4 selected or had qualifying matches. And had
I agree with what
I don't know.
Said earlier.
We'll see.
This would have been the perfect opportunity to bring back a King of the Ring tournament, make it mean something, and it would have made the belt mean something too. And, if this would have been now, I'll even say this: if Cody were to win this in a King of the Ring format, that would be, I think, the same as
Saudi
the Roman
Arabia.
Championship. Sure, why not?
Yeah, would have been better.
That would be because at least have prestige behind it, and it wouldn't just be
definitely disappointed that they're not doing the one night tournament format for this.
Exactly, you had to win 3-4 times in one night. Like it proves that that's the workman's title, right?
And that would have been the perfect story for someone like Cody. That is a tailor-made Cody Rhodes. That's a Dusty.
Hey, at least they're not having a battle royal to determine who the champion is.
The problem is the way they pigeonhole themselves right away in announcing the championship creation, because Hunter said whichever show Roman Reigns is on, like that's already a consolation phrase. Whatever show Roman is on, so he's less than Roman Reigns by sheer default, right there at the opening statement. That's the problem.
It's true.
Very true.
Even if Roman himself wins it, it's like, well, this is still lesser than my titles.
Right. And Mr. Tito sent in a $2 super chat, says, how can it be Raw World Heavyweight Championship if SmackDown talent goes for it?
That's the thing. By Triple H saying, whatever show Roman isn't on, which is now SmackDown apparently, that will feature the World Heavyweight Championship. Then why are there six SmackDown superstars instead of 8 Raw superstars? You literally take 2 more people from Raw.
Kayfabe, dude, it makes sense.
Unless they need to make a blanket statement and say if somebody on the SmackDown side wins this title, they will automatically have to come to Raw and we'll send SmackDown compensation. I mean, that's stupid, but at least it would explain.
Yeah, at least mention a trade, and that way Cody gets the SmackDown, and now he can challenge Roman. Like
they already
something like that.
They already said that you can have transfers. And things like
that. That could happen.
Yeah, without a clarification statement, everything they're saying about this is stupid at this point.
Yeah, Walter, you
I
might
don't know,
be
man.
right.
I'm not as low on this tournament as
I'm
you guys
not.
are. I
I'm
think it
not
could be better.
dissecting this anymore myself. It's going to be.
Yeah,
I
I'm
just wanted
sorry.
to talk about the winner.
What
Potential
were
winner.
you saying, Aaron? Because you mentioned my name and then.
Oh, I was just saying that you make a good point there. Maybe there's a scenario where a SmackDown guy does win. Maybe AJ Styles wins it, and they have to do a trade, and Cody gets over to SmackDown to get his rematch with Roman Reigns. I actually like that because that opens up Money in the Bank for somebody like LA Knight to win it. I'd like to see that happen. So we'll
there
see.
you go. So
Triple H did bring up trades, so we'll see.
I still stand behind that. For my money, the best way to end Cody Rhodes or to recycle start Cody Rhodes' story is he wins the WWE Championship, the title his father and his brother didn't win, in the middle of Madison Square Garden, where that picture of Dusty was screenshotted. That's the way you do it. I don't care if it's on July 7th. I don't care if it's the next time they're at the Garden, whatever. But Cody winning the championship in the Garden, I think is just it's just storybook shit right there. That's how you do it.
I might have to buy tickets for this Madison
There you
Square
go.
Garden.
We covered it. We covered it. I don't think we really need to dissect it anymore, and we got to just see what happens now, because we'll talk about it once it happens and whoever wins it. So,
right.
To be continued. So let's go around. Aaron, any other super chats to catch up on?
So we do have a few more comments on this. This guy Experience sent in $2. Thank you for that. Says, is the belt there to take some heat off of Roman Reigns? I think it's there because Raw doesn't have a world champion and Roman's a part-timer, bottom line.
And if they're putting more heat on him.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just shocked they didn't find a way to split the title back instead of creating a whole new one.
It's
weird.
Yeah, again, but then again, Walter, which one do you split off? Because the Universal is the one that's 1,000 days, but the WWE Championship.
Yeah.
Yep. Psycho Jet Black sent in $2 and said they should add Brock Lesnar and make it a triple threat.
What, the finals? What
I
do you
guess.
mean? Triple threat?
Maybe that's what he means. But
because I'm a triple threats on each show, so just do that because Brock's a free agent.
It wouldn't shock me either. Brock could just come out there and pull his weight around and not have to compete in those matches on Raw and SmackDown and just show up at the pay-per-view and get his shot.
Yeah.
Would not shock me if they do that.
Well, they do that at Money in the Bank and win it.
Yeah,
he did exactly what he did.
I was there in person, that Money in the Bank.
The problem with the verbiage of him being a free agent is if he can do that, well, so can Baron Corbin, so can Shelton Benjamin, so can Cedric Alexander. I'm the champion.
So Brock's a free agent. So is everybody in it right now? Like the Raw people, they're all on Raw and all the SmackDown. So none of those free agents. So maybe that was their way to keep Lesnar out of it. Well, he's not on either show, so therefore he's not in the tournament. But
and I don't know about you guys. I'm sick of triple threats. Like it's some default thing to do, and I'm really tired of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. They tend to overdo them. Hamp Connell sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. And then we'll do our plugs. He says, keep in mind they're already ignoring the draft by allowing SmackDown to compete for it. Perhaps they forgot that there was a draft last week. Yeah,
he didn't forget. They just don't know what the hell they're doing. They're booking stuff.
Maybe they do. You know what? Let's turn this into a positive. Maybe they have a plan here, and we just have to wait and see how it plays out. Sometimes people throw that out there that we're too quick to judge.
We are
negative. Let's see what happens. Maybe all this is going to make sense in the end.
I'm a component as I always think that the Raw after Mania should be when you do the draft, because WrestleMania should end all storylines. You hit the reset button, then you do that draft, and now you see what the stories are going to be after. Like this whole branch it out, it's just dumb the way they do it.
And Walter, in addition to that, I'll just follow up on that. I think that should be random picks instead of this so-called management. Like, who's the management making these picks? Like, they just showed a door for Raw and a door for SmackDown. There's no authority figures. Adam Pearce runs both shows, so it doesn't even make any sense. I would just do random picks, so then nobody knows who's going where, and it makes more sense in the storyline than people just picking whoever. And also, because Roman Reigns is picked first, then it kind of becomes anticlimactic, right? He's already been drafted. If you do it randomly, you have to watch the whole show because you don't know when Roman's going to be picked. I just think it makes more sense.
Or just don't have drafts anymore and just do it a different way. No more drafts.
they could try something else. Anyways, we're caught up, Virtue. We can go
Okay.
ahead and
Let's go
wrap
around
it
and
up.
do our plugs before the Walter and
Oh.
Jeff keep going on and on. Oh, and then the super chat. The NoDQ Galaxy always extends these shows.
Well, we're in After Dark, so Caleb, normally I would call you out for the non-wrestling comments, but since we're in After Dark now, I'll let it slide. He says, $2.20. Thank you, Caleb. Says, Andy should be in Chucky season 2. Wasn't
It's season
2
3.
already in?
Obviously, you're not getting his numbers right, but why wouldn't Andy be in season 3? He's still alive, isn't he?
I'm not even sure. Like, I already forgot what happened.
I haven't even watched the Chucky TV show. I like the movies, but I haven't watched
All
the
right,
show.
let's go around and do our plugs. Robbie, I'll start with you.
I don't have any plugs.
Okay.
Never talk to me outside of this. Anyone, just leave me alone. Read my
Go
stuff
read
on
his column.
NoDQ.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, go read my stuff on NoDQ.
All right, fair enough. All right, Walter.
I actually want to do it. So I do have an article that I think will be quite interesting to a lot of people, that many people will have many things to say about it. I'll just
You
say
got a
that.
teaser or no?
I think it's going to be talking about, well, I will say part of it is Chris Jericho's wife and the January 6th insurrection. To give you a little fun thing about some of the terrible people that are prominent wrestling figures, some of the good old boys that are doing some pretty terrible things that support some pretty terrible people. And I think it's going to be fun to bring it all out to the light.
Now, let me ask you this. If you put it up and you get a lot of heat, will you be taking it down?
No.
Okay.
No. But yeah,
That's
no.
what I wanted to hear. That's what
I'm
I
being
wanted
as
to hear.
as
If anybody
objective as I
takes it
possibly
down, Aaron has to make that decision. But as
Yeah,
the
I mean,
creative person of the article,
It's Aaron's
I agree.
website. I will never remove one of my articles.
okay, fair enough. Thank you, Robbie. Okay, Walter, do your plugs.
I'm the simple one. I got Instagram, Calfire Farms, and my Twitter is right there. That name at Walter Alex Cruz right there. And there's a side by side by them.
I know you're not Noah Foster is a simple one, but
What are
thanks for
those?
trying.
No.
What are those?
No, he's the
roses
simple
that-
man. I'm the simple follow.
What kind of roses are those?
Buds. Rose
But
buds.
yeah, that was a good one, dude.
All right, thank you, Walter. All right, Jeff Meacham.
No problem.
This is going to be Plug Central over here.
Yeah, it always is. We got a lot of stuff coming up just this weekend, this month over at the Multiverse Media. Talk Wrestling, of course, across all the channels on Tuesdays. JJ's still reviewing John Wayne movies on Renegades Reviews. Dory Lou's Sports Bar this Tuesday is the big exception to the rule because they're going live at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. They're having a happy hour, I guess, because everybody's busy Tuesday night. I want to plug Greg Cherry's show. He's not officially part of the Multiverse Media anymore, but if you all still follow Greg over on the socials, he and his wife recently lost their jobs, so I definitely make sure I get that synergy out there. And our next watch along was going to be the end of the month with the 3 in a row, but we're actually going to be covering the show New Japan's running Long Beach because JJ and I are apparently going to that show in Long Beach on the 21st. So definitely want to get a little love out there for the New Japan show because it's going to be at the Long Beach Pyramid, Aaron. So it'll be fun.
All right, there you go.
You, Jeff. Wasn't as bad as I thought. I like that. All right, Jeff. Thank you. Aaron, over to you.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Says, imagine Braun Breaker in Chucky season 3. I like that idea. You know what? They had Liv Morgan on Chucky, so why not Braun Breaker for the Easter egg? I think wrestling fans would appreciate that know the history of Chucky in wrestling.
What was so dumb about it, though, she wasn't like really part of the story of the episode. It was kind of like an insert, like a what do you call it, like an interview wrap around. I was like, that was a way to shoehorn her in, but I guess it was cute. Whatever.
Yeah, but they should just get Braun Breaker in there as like a random guy that Chucky kills.
Yeah, just people like I can't. I they did the thing. That would be.
He needs to be a math teacher.
Yes, professor. They could call him whatever, but he should be a math professor, and Chucky kills him. That would be the greatest Easter egg in television history if they did
Professor Papa Pump.
that. There you go.
And they should have that exact equation that was in the promo on the board while he's done.
Seriously, just have it up there. Just don't say anything about it. Just have everything in place, and then Chucky just shanks him. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Whoever's
if a wrestling fan
responsible
was
for
writing
writing
that,
Chucky.
yeah.
Whoever's writing Chucky, if you know somebody out there who knows somebody that writes for Chucky, they got to know that idea now. We got to have that now.
Oh, okay.
Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Says, "What should main event the Wembley show?"
The World
Virtue, I think you would agree with me on this. CM Punk versus Kenny Omega.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, CM Punk
4
versus
pillars.
whoever they put against him is the main event. But like if they put MJF in the main, actually, like MJF versus CM Punk is really for the title is really what should main event the show. If you really want to look at it from a wrestling kayfabe perspective.
Yeah.
They could do that, and then they could do, for the fans that want to see it, Omega versus like Will Ospreay or something.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. Robbie, what do you think should be the main event?
I mean, I think if you can get MJF in there, MJF should be. But I think the 4 pillars match, because I think while having part-timer WWE legends is all fine and good in CM Punk, I think it would say a lot more about the direction of the company, and it would show a lot more faith in them if they could come up with a really awesome, long match that includes all 4 of their pillars, because I think that's the future of their company. That's the most important thing. CM Punk isn't a given. If they can get him to come play nice for what's he got? Let's say best case scenario, CM Punk has got like 5 years of like serviceable in-ring action, because he's definitely fallen off a bit. And I think 5 years is like fair. But you got guys in their 20s, you got MJF, you got some of these guys that are going to be here for probably 15, 20 years. MJF probably even longer because of how he works. But I think it would make the most sense to get the 4 pillars on there as the main event.
I think that it's going to be realistic about what Tony Khan will do. It's probably going to be Chris Jericho versus CM Punk in the semi-main event.
Yeah, and then Omega versus Ospreay or something like that will be their headliner.
Yeah, the comment from Matthew though, Punk and FTR against the Elite in a semi-main, and Max for the world title, and like I'm great with that, because you lose Omega versus Ospreay, but Omega needs to be in the match with the Elite if it's going to be FTR and Punk, because you got a 3-on-3 synergy there.
Yeah, but we'll see what they do. Maybe Goldberg ends up in it. Anyways, stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the latest regarding All Out and everything else going on in wrestling. Virtue, let's go ahead and wrap it up.
Follow me on Twitter if you dare at NoDQ_Virtue, where I get go away heat, and you will follow me for a week and unfollow me because you won't be able to bear my tweets. Like the music. All right, so go to NoDQ.com also /merch to check out all the t-shirts. That is all I have for this week's NoDQ review, number 236. For Aaron, for Walter, for Robbie and Jeff, and everybody else, Jargo, Colin, and the whole crew, Big G, who's always happy to be here when he's here. We will see you again next time, NoDQ Galaxy. Good night.